He heard a voice out in the desert wind. Leave your land, let a new life begin. No map, no plan, just faith and fire. He walked alone but with a heart inspired. From Ur to Canaan across the sand, a promise whispered through the burning land. You'll be the father of nations wide, with nothing but stars to count at night. He was a friend of God, walking by the flame. When the world went dark, he still praised
Abraham was a fatherless Jew. He had a father, but he was not a father, which that's an unfortunate situation in a Jewish household, because Jews are commanded by God to go forth and be fruitful and multiply. God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. That's from Genesis 1:28. But Abraham's wife, Sarah, was barren, childless, until she was 90. We all know that Abraham was not completely childish, because he bore a son with Hagar. And that son was who? Ishmael. Abraham, by the way, was 86 when Ishmael was born. Now, Abraham was a righteous man with a wholehearted commitment to God. A man of peace, settling a boundary dispute for his nephew Lot. Abraham was a hospitable man, welcoming 3 visited angels. He was a quick-acting warrior. He rescued Lot and his family from a raiding party. Abraham was an unscrupulous liar to save his own skin. He passes off Sarah as his sister and let her become part of the Pharaoh's harem. I wonder about that. When I say I wonder about that, I wonder about what the average person would do in a similar situation. Of course, you have to think of who? You have to think of Peter. When Peter was in the situation that he was in, what did he do? That's a little sidetrack, but he lied. Okay, thus another description. He was a man of great spiritual depth, strength, and a person with a common weakness and needs. There are times when God uses the weaknesses of men for his purposes, and that's okay. He was a native of Ur, Mesopotamia, which is Kuwait, parts of Syria and Iran. Abraham was called by God to leave his own country and to travel to an undesignated land to become the founder of a new nation. He obeys God like the dedicated man that he is. And at the age of 75, he proceeds with a barren wife, Sarah, and his nephew Lot to Canaan, between Syria and Egypt. Fast forward 25 years, right? Abraham is 100. Sarah is 90. Not exactly the age that you'd think they would be fooling around. But God had a hand in granting Abraham his prayer for a son. Lo and behold, Sarah became with child, bore Abraham a son, Isaac. Now, how valuable was Isaac to Abraham? Of course, we must believe that Isaac would have been second in Abraham's mind only to his dedication to Yahweh. Jesus provides. Jehovah Jireh. Of Abraham's case, God is the great provider. There's much history that's being skipped over, of course, but now the test. We all know the story. I say we all know the story. Abraham was truly dedicated and faithful to God. One way to find that out suppose the loss of something of great value to prove one's dedication. According to the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, God commands Abraham to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice. You say you love me? Prove it and do what I say. Chronicles 3:1. The event occurs in the Mount of the Lord in the land of Moriah, Mount Moriah. Interestingly, Psalms, Isaiah, and Zechariah use the Mount of the Lord to refer to Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. After Isaac is bound to an altar, a messenger of God stops Abraham before he can complete the sacrifice, saying, "Now I know you fear God." Abraham looks up, sacrifices a ram instead. Isaac's death was never a possibility, not as far as God and Abraham were concerned. God's commandment to Abraham was very specific, and Abraham stood it precisely. Isaac was raised up as an offering. God would use it as an opportunity to teach mankind that human sacrifice is not acceptable. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. He will keep your paths straight. Proverbs.
They came to test on Moriah's height. A knife in hand, tears in his sight, but a ram appeared, the voice rang clear. Now I know your heart, there's no more fear. He was a friend of God, walking by the flame. When the world went dark, he still praised the name. Tested and tried, but never let go. Built on the rock when the rivers overflowed. He was a friend of God, yeah, a friend of God. No turning back, no compromise. A man of faith with fire in his eyes. Through every storm, through every test, he held the line, gave his best.